see heaven after love.
I know this was all really intense, but I'm not trying to hurt you.
What's going on, everyone? I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about Hurry Up Tomorrow. This story follows an insomniac musician who encounters a mysterious stranger, leading to a journey that will challenge everything he knows about himself. This marks the fourth feature-length film of Trey Edward Schultz, who has done movies like Krisha, which I haven't had the chance to see, It Comes at Night, which I respected more than I actually enjoyed, and Waves, which I absolutely loved. I thought it was beautiful, raw, and very much life-affirming. This is the collaboration with Abel Tesfaye, aka The Weeknd, marking this as a companion piece to his sixth album, aka the final chapter to his alter ego, as far as somewhat of a trilogy, if you will, with After Hours, Dawn FM, and now Hurry Up Tomorrow. Now, I don't necessarily consider myself a fan of The Weeknd, but I just so happen to like a lot of his music. Like, I didn't bother watching his show that he did with Lily Rose Depp on Max called The Idol, but I actually ended up going out to buy his latest album. Like, not on Spotify, like physically walked into Walmart and picked up a copy. Now, for those of you who know, I was in Arizona about 4 weeks ago, and I had the opportunity to stop by at an AMC theater because, you know, it's really hard to come by in an AMC chain around the state of Hawaii. So I had the choice into watching either Final Destination Bloodlines or Hurry Up Tomorrow because it came out on the same weekend. And I'm actually glad that I ended up watching the latest Final Destination sequel because the reviews for Hurry Up Tomorrow were horrendous. Horrendous to the point where, after the first week, they pulled it from many theater chains, including my own theater back at home. Now, I've read and watched videos of critics and content creators that just tore this movie to shreds, labeling this as the worst film of the year, and I was still curious about checking this out once it hit VOD. So after watching the final product, I can honestly report that this isn't necessarily a complete dumpster fire as everyone is claiming it to be. Oh, trust me, I've seen much worse. But having said that, while there are many great ideas in front and behind the camera, the story fails to reach the same scope and cathartic level as the album itself. Guys, we are getting into spoiler territory today because I hate to break it to you, but while the marketing attempts to convey a sense of ambiguity, avant-garde, or even art house picture, everything in both trailers happen to be the best and interesting parts about this movie. I mean, the key positives I can truly give this film is the production design, the cinematography, the wicked performances by Jenna Ortega and Barry Keoghan, and of course, nearly every track from the album was put on display here, which was pretty much a hit for me, especially when Jenna Ortega was singing and dancing to a lot of past songs like Blinding Lights or Gasoline, all while psychoanalyzing The Weeknd, kind of like how Elliot Page was tantalizing Patrick Wilson in Hard Candy. And I understand that that whole sequence wasn't meant to be funny, but it was such an eccentric highlight that really put the spotlight on Jenna Ortega. I just find it hard to believe that the script got finalized before The Weeknd even wrote and produced the album for the film. And that's because there's a lot of story, a lot of inspiration in the lyrics opposed to the dialogue and the images you see on picture. And I think that a lot of things are left on the surface, especially the character development, which really devoids of diving deep into the tragedies and choices our leads make in order to get them where they are now. Even the dramatization of the real-life event where Abel lost his voice while performing on stage was such a footnote, such a minute little detail that is easily forgotten and dropped once he later vocalizes in the movie without struggling, which was really questionable for me, and I thought they would have kind of paid that off in some kind of revelation in the third act, but we never get that. Instead, it just felt like a 105-minute music video, style over substance. Tesfaye's interpretation of acting seems to be only two things: yelling and crying. There are a lot of highs and lows when it comes to Abel's on-screen persona that I really wanted to understand. I really wanted to empathize with the heartbreak and psychological anguish that was seeping through the cracks of this artist. Though the details of the relationship involving his parents and his ex-girlfriend are pretty much withheld from the audience, it makes a lot of Abel's actions and verbal projection come off as an entitled, selfish, and narcissistic asshole. And I'm not saying that all protagonists need to be likable. I'm just saying that he does nothing to convince all the people around him, including the viewers, that he is capable of wanting change, capable of wanting to better his life for himself. Barry Keoghan plays Lee, Abel's manager slash best friend, and he's much more of an enabler, kind of like to numb and disregard a lot of his mental health by drinking and drug use, all while keeping the show going at all costs. Keoghan doesn't necessarily make a lot of splash in the true plot, but his performance really warrants him more screen time, especially when he finally comes face to face with Anima, played by Jenna Ortega. That was a really well-directed scene. Speaking of Jenna, her character pretty much reminded me of Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn, where she was the best damn thing about the movie, but we barely get enough of her. There's not enough meat on the bones to entice the viewers as to who she is or her true purpose. I mean, her name is Anima, and in Jungian psychology, it pretty much refers to as the female aspects of the male psyche. Now, it strongly suggests that her character wasn't real, that she was a figment of Abel's imagination, all up in his mind, the voice of reasoning of some sorts. But in that case, when you look back at a lot of the scenes without the two of them interacting, the scenes where she is just burning down the house, interacting with other bystanders, or even taking the call from the mom, didn't make any goddamn sense. Once we get to the point of the story where the lines between reality and dreamscape began to blur, I truly admired the director's influence of Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, especially when it came to a lot of the camera work, the swapping ratios, the elongated oneers, the lighting and interior designing, all paired up with the Weeknd songs, really kept me hooked. But unfortunately, I really wanted them to push past the limitations, push past the safety lines, and lean into the horror territory. Addressing the subject matters of toxic relationships and self-harm are not to be treated lightly, so why tease the audience with horror if you're not going to take it all the way? I mean, a lot of people said that this movie left them bored, but it rather much left me frustrated, especially when you go up to compare it to Darren Aronofsky's The Black Swan, or Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue, or even Smile 2. And when they try to bring my favorite track to fruition, it just felt very much shoot in. Overall, this movie didn't necessarily drag for me. It just pretty much did not take off the way I was hoping it for. I mean, all the ingredients were there, but it just didn't cook. And fortunately, the TikTok that went viral is the only atrocious display of acting that you'll ever get from Abel Tesfaye. I think that it's sort of pretentious, but sort of bold for him to really stretch his wings, kind of test his range on transitioning from pop artist to an actor. And if he plans to pursue this path, he has a long way to go. Abel, The Weeknd, whatever you want to be called, I love your music, but if you genuinely need help, don't go out and make a movie, seek some professional counseling. Well, alright guys, that's all I got to say about that movie. Go ahead and check it out on video on demand if you want to. Otherwise, I'm Jaren Ugbanawa. I want to thank you guys again for taking some time out of your day to hear me talk some movies. Look forward to more reviews, and I'll see you guys at the theater. Take care.
You were hurting yourself, and you were hurting everyone around you. Something has to change.